Guten Tag, everyone. There's where my German goes. So I hope you are having an amazing day. Thanks once again, Felix, for inviting us. It's my second time here. I was here not in 2017, as I told someone. I was in 2018, actually. So, and back then, I was doing like a presentation showcasing our products. It was good to show our products that we are Xray is the #1 selling app across the whole Atlassian marketplace. But I thought doing something different for today. So if you want to learn more about all Xray, I have a workshop that I will be doing next. But during these 15 minutes, I want to talk about the holy grail of testing and whether we have found it or not. So, first of all, holy grail. This is a tough topic. I don't want to get into the religious discussion, but everywhere I go, even on holidays, I see some references to the holy grail. And in Portugal, we have these two amazing places where it is said that the Holy Grail is hidden. One is Quinta da Regaleira in Sintra, near Lisbon. It has this mystic well. There are many stories around it. It has like a bunch of caves, and maybe somewhere the Holy Grail is there. Who knows? And there's this the Convent of Christ, which is a Templar convent, and well, it is said that maybe the Templars have hide the Holy Grail there. Anyway, why the search for the Holy Grail? The thing is that Holy Grail gives like these magical powers, in theory, like eternal youth. And if we think a bit about testing and making better products, we sometimes are also searching like for a magical solution. And even on the whole, across the whole Atlassian marketplace, everyone tries to sell like a magic solution for every single problem that we may have. And in testing, we may be searching for something that could perform all the testing that we want, that could give us all the insights that we need so we can know more about our product and whether it is good or not good to be released. And I think there are like these 5 goals, I call it 5 illusions that can take us on a road, searching for something that probably cannot make much sense. And the first one is about testing everything. That is possible to actually test everything in our products. And this is a common misconception, because we may have like a team leader or a manager that tells us, test everything. You need to really test everything. And it's a wrong goal, and I will tell you why. Because it parts like from this assumption that quality is something that we can actually measure, and it's more like a qualitative thing. And also one important aspect is about the meaning of quality is different to different stakeholders. So if I ask one customer, is this product good? He or she will reply in one way. If I ask to another customer, he or she will answer differently. So the view of quality is different. So even if it was possible to test, let's say, all these possible scenarios, we wouldn't have all the tools and all the means to actually perform those. So I like to think that in testing and also in life, we have this goal of trying to reach for everything. It's something that will not take us on the road to happiness. In the other end, I think it is like more a myth that can take us to some frustration, because you cannot really test everything. And why? I want to show you this diagram that you can see here. I adapted it from Ricard Edgren. And there you have like the representation of, let's say, every single dot in that truth lake, as I call it, is like represented every single usage of our product, including, let's say, the wrong usage or even the bugs. And you can see like on the middle of it, there's like this rectangle with two parts of it, the known knowns and the known unknowns. And that represents our knowledge. And many times we spend our testing effort around that area. But the critical aspect to have in mind is that, as you can see in that island in the middle, most of the important things, they lie beyond what we know, right? So how can we actually discover important risks that are beyond our existing knowledge? That should be our question. And that's why I have a t-shirt about exploratory testing, by the way. Another illusion that can take us on a messy road is about automating all tests, especially when we talk about automating more and more and more. This also comes from the wrong assumption that we can actually test everything. When we know now that it's actually not possible to test everything. So it's also not possible to automate all tests. So I work with in a big tech telco for 13 years and with many teams, and I had these teams that they were always trying to, let's automate all the tests. But what does that mean, right? So many times people would spend tons of effort automating flows that would be meaningless. So instead of that, I would say that we should focus our attention around the test automation strategy, for example. What things can we automate that can give us value feedback so we can decide, so we can evaluate if there's a problem or not with the product that we are developing. And for example, another aspect, I remember in a project that I was doing around the fiber optics, and the team was telling me, oh, this is hardware. We cannot implement test automation for this. Well, actually you can, right? You can make like a abstraction of layers on top of the existing software and the existing APIs and then try to automate that. But if you are going to spend effort doing that, you should think about what is really going to provide you the most value in the time that you have. Because automating flows that are easy for you to check as a human, that doesn't make much sense from my perspective. Another illusion that we have is about having these bug-free products. And this is really an illusion because there are no bug-free products, okay? Our product has bugs, but I can tell you that every product has bugs, right? The question is whether those bugs are relevant and they impact you as a customer or not, or your customers. But these bug-free products, they also depart from this notion that we all have the same understanding about quality. And you know what? Some people, they give more importance for speed, responsiveness. And that's why some people prefer Jira Data Center, and others prefer Jira Cloud. Okay? That's fine, okay? Some live with it, and things also, of course, improve. But what we value as a person are different aspects. Some value more speed, others value more usability, others want more features, right? So for me, this aspect of quality is that it's multidimensional, right? It's not just one variable that we look at. And from all these dimensions, we value these different aspects differently. And we should have that in mind whenever we deal with our customers or with our internal stakeholders, whenever we are making solutions. The other kind of illusion is that we can think that tools will replace all of us. I think we are still very far from that. And we can have this illusion, and this illusion With it, we may be searching for a tool to automate everything. And there isn't that such thing. There is not that thing for testing. But tools, I think, also to reinforce this, the tools are very good giving you know about some existing things that you have already built in the product. But for example, tools don't know about the context of your users. Tools don't know about the customers themselves. And tools won't know about the features that are not implemented. And many times, that's an important thing, right? So tools can be very good looking at the things that you already have implemented, but they are not good looking at the things that you have don't have. And also, tools won't change the work, let's say the work culture. So if you are aiming to make better testing, because in the end we aim to make better products, we really need to work together as a team. And it's not just part of the responsibility of one team member or some team members that are more testing related. It's part of the whole team doing that continuously. I like this illusion because sometimes people think that, okay, I can make like a layer of abstraction on top of my software, and with that I can remove plenty of problems. And also, if I have like a layer of abstraction, is good eventually for me as a tester to test a product. And I want to quote this person, Jeff Nelson. This is a bit small for you to see, but he said that he was working on the Chromebook. He's the Chromebook inventor, and he was saying that he was working this project. We had like 1,000 lines of code. He reduced that to just 2 lines of code, and with that he removed all the bugs. That's a mistake, right? We know that bugs do increase with the lines of code. There are several studies related to that. Around 15 to 50, according with Steve McConnell, but per 1,000 lines of code. But the thing is that whenever we are adding layers of abstraction, we are also inheriting problems. So whenever we have, for example, a library, we are also adding potential risks with that library. Risks in terms of speed, licensing, for example, and bugs that may be hidden in that library. So less code doesn't mean less bugs. That doesn't mean that we have to write a lot of code, but we should be careful. So coming back to the holy grail of testing, is like the ChatGPT like the solution? Who has ever tried the ChatGPT from all of you? Come on, almost everyone. Did you like it? Yes? Okay, more or less. Okay, so I did some tests on it. There are a bunch of people doing some tests on it, but I also, as I like this testing kind of background, I asked ChatGPT, how can I test this software? Just that. And it gave me like this amazing answer with all these bullets. It's not bad. It sounds plausible. But the thing is that these are like, it's a generic answer. You should have asked me, what's important to you and to the software? What are you trying to test exactly? And it just provided me an answer to a very simple question, but where I didn't provide much details on it. Then okay, let's try ChatGPT more. I have this simple login page, right? I got the HTML code, and I asked ChatGPT, what problems do you see? Oh, even rhymes. So it said me like a bunch of problems. And it's not that they are not bad, but for me it missed like the most important one, is that I have hard-coded credentials on the page. And it didn't get it, right? It's very good training and predicting stuff, but sometimes it misses basic things. So other things missing in my perspective. What is the purpose of this page? What things should I have around the login process? Should I have like Facebook authentication? Should I have Google authentication in it? Is there like a back office? Where should the user be directed to? So there are a bunch of questions that me as a human, I would ask. But this tool didn't ask me, didn't provide me like these questions for me to think a bit about. That doesn't mean that the tool is bad. It's that we should have this in mind. It's not a magic tool. So having said that, and with all these limitations that we can see, does this mean that we cannot use tools for the sake of our goals and for the sake of making better products? I think so. Of course, I work in a tool vendor, so I think tools can actually help. And I usually use a bunch of tools. And tools are very good on providing like insights about the code that I write. It can provide me great insights about the code quality. It can even help me autocomplete the code, like GitHub Copilot and things like that. They are actually good. But tools can also be used to test more combinations of the software that we use. So whenever you have a system, it can be you have like a bunch of variables, and testing all those combinations can be really hard. And tools, as the one that I will be showing, the Xray Enterprise, can make an optimized selection of test cases for those combinations, so you don't have to test like thousands of combinations. Of course, tools can also run a bunch of tests in parallel, and that's great, right? So you don't have to check for the basic things by hand. And they can also do tests that otherwise we couldn't do by hand, like load testing, performance testing. And they can also combine that with the typical manual testing that we can do, or the exploratory testing that we could do. And for me, if you are thinking about thinking ahead, it's not just about that, it's also about depicting patterns. Of course, everyone just has heard about visual testing, comparison of the images, but I think there's much more than that. Actually, if we think about looking at patterns on the logs, on the usage logs, all with the new Atlassian offering, where you have some information on the cloud. You can also use that to depict strange patterns and eventual problems. So, and to conclude my presentation, I think that the holy grail of testing as a thing, as an asset, it may not exist, but I think it's more a combination of tools together with humans, and humans using the tools in the best way that they can, with wisdom, and also combined with a true collaborative environment. Because without a true team environment, if you don't foster a true team environment in your teams, and of course tools can enable some part of the collaboration aspect, but you need to also to work on other skills across your teams. Happy testing. Thank you.